Is Social Security going broke in 2035? We've got some answers for you. This is the Focus Group.
They're all business, except when they're not. It's the Focus Group with Tim Bennett and John Nash.
Welcome to the Focus Group. John Nash here with my good friend and co-host Tim Bennett. FocusGroupRadio.com is our website. You'll learn about us there and our Tuesday podcast, TFG Unbuttoned. 3 stories, about 20 minutes. We call it like commuter or Stairmaster friendly. But here on the Focus Group, we tackle slightly different things. And right before we started broadcasting or recording the show, Tim and I were talking about our multiple aspirations. And one of them is a musical that we really do have in our back pocket about a crazy work experience that we had back, Tim. It was pandemic time, 2021. Yeah.
Right at the beginning of the pandemic. Yeah, 2019 it started, right?
Late 2019. Tim calls up one day and says, John, he goes, Nash, you want to take on a cannabis account? And it goes from there.
It's going to be the Hermes of pot, the Polo of pot.
But that was the Polo of pot. That was your line. Yeah, it's going to be
which they did do essentially.
Mm-hmm.
And then it all imploded, as they would say out here. Imploded.
So Tim went so far once. Tim and I had gotten tickets. We were at Sirius. We went to see Priscilla, Queen of the Desert on Broadway, and they call it a jukebox musical because it's song after song after song after song, right? So Tim one day sends me, and we can't find this for the life of us.
We can't find it.
He sends me the perfect playlist for a jukebox musical based on this client that we had been working with because of all the crazy stuff we saw. I mean, and we were so song by song. He's like, here's what we're going to do. It's going to open with this. It's going to be this. By the end of it, maybe I was practically crying. I was laughing so hard. Of course, that's the Tim and John thing. Like, I'll just die laughing. We could be together and he'd say a joke and no one would get it, but we'll get it. And but this, I think many people would have gotten.
Yeah, we'll have to. We could probably recreate it because I think I based it. The more I think about it, I think I based it off the fact that the one principal of the musical was a huge fan of yacht rock, and so right. So you really could, and yacht rock would be perfect for this, right? Mm-hmm. So you would use all these yacht rock songs, and
minute by minute by minute.
I shot the sheriff. Who shot Cheeky? Yeah, I mean, it goes on.
Mandy and the Jet.
Yeah, boom. Yeah, it's yacht rock. So we could do a whole.
I think you nailed it. Yeah. I think you nailed it.
I'll have to think of it again. Go ahead and do the story arc, and of course, you and I only know parts. We know enough to be dangerous. Yeah, but there are some other people that would collaborate that could fill in some of the other sidebar craziness. It is quite a show. I mean, it would be quite a show. And
if you like pina coladas, getting caught in the rain, you just have to change the lyrics. You know what I'm going with that one.
No, it's perfect. Yeah. No, it's. I just remember at one point her taking out $1,500 bottles of French wine.
Yep.
And puts it on the counter and then looks at me and says, "When I open this, you drink it." And I'm like, what? She goes, you don't let it. People think you're supposed to let it rest.
And
you let it open up. You drink it. And she click, click, click. Pours it in these huge tumbler glasses. Yeah. I mean, the whole thing was just.
From the very get-go. So Tim and I were invited out to present our agency credentials. And Tim put together this amazing, it was like a branding day. Tim had
all
these
day.
So we designed these books. We had them bound at Kinko's. We came out with all these like a whiteboard supplies, and he had all these games set up for branding to figure out where your brand is. And they were engaged, and it was a beautiful home. I mean, beyond crazy, right? Yeah. They flew us out. They had cakes and cookies, lunch, and everybody was just so wonderful. And we got the business. And the next time we were out, it was a very different world. They're all smoking cigarettes, drinking wine.
Well, they flew us on the private plane from to Aspen, right?
Yeah, Teterboro to Aspen, yeah.
And then you and I had but then the other time we were on the private plane, and we didn't know where we were staying when we got to Aspen. So I went and made a reservation. That friggin' town. Remember, they wouldn't cancel my reservation,
No,
but
I remember that. Yeah.
So, but nobody told us we were staying with them at the Jerome.
Yeah, the hotel.
So I tried to cancel our reservation. I just remember that one of the handlers saying, "Do you think we would have flown you here in a private jet and not gotten you a room?" I was like, "Well, no one told us, so we went and got rooms ourselves." When I thought about that, John, we should have just gone to that hotel, messed the bed up, taken the toiletries, and left. I don't know why we didn't do that. We should have just checked in since we paid for it, right? We should have just gone and messed it up, taken the toiletries, the soaps, and the shampoos, and then left. That was the one thing.
But it was sort of worth the lost money, because when this client set up camp at the Jerome Hotel and they took over the lobby, basically they had dogs and
I've never seen anything like it.
Trays of was it like margaritas coming?
Margaritas, and keep them coming. Yeah, it was all day. Anybody in the lobby could have sat there and enjoyed it. Snacks and treats and dogs running around with the leashes on them and taking over the whole hotel. People were checking in. The dogs would run up to the people, remember? It was like their living room.
So, Tim, now that this is all refreshing, I want you to go and think yacht rock.
My yacht rocks.
And just call up a yacht rock playlist, and you're going to probably be able to mesh in different songs, right?
Just need a writer. Of course, you and I know how long it is and tough it is to make a movie. Maybe a musical's easier. Maybe we can do Subaru the musical.
It's so typical Tim and John. Oh, a musical must be much easier than making a regular movie.
Well, it's got to be. Look at Grey Gardens. It's got to be simple.
Jerry likes the way I do my corn. Isn't he a treasure? More corn, Jerry? If you have not seen Grey Gardens, the musical, which you'll never be able to see because it only ran in New York City, Christine Ebersol played the older...
Both. She played younger and older.
Oh, she played younger. And she was so perfect in the role. She even did an appearance at the Kennedy Center.
Yeah.
Da-da-da-da-da. She comes out in that crazy costume. And then they wanted to take the show to London. And she has a young child. And she's like, this is grueling. I do like 7, 8, 9 shows a week, and I want to be with my family. So once she dropped out, who could ever replace her as Big Edie and Little Edie, right?
Yeah, she was fun. I saw her at 54 Below
as a cabaret act.
Yeah, it was great, and she brought her son on. Our friends Patrick and Howard worked with
Kennedy
her at
Center.
Kennedy Center, and found out, which I didn't know, and now why would you know, that she was a staunch Republican. So it was really funny. Yeah. So it was really funny when she did the whole thing about it's a mean, ugly Republican town.
You get arrested for wearing red shoes.
Red shoes on a Thursday. I don't know if you know that. I mean, did you know that?
By the way, another favorite focus group movie besides Team America, which is a must-have, is Grey Gardens. And I always tell the story when the original first Grey Gardens by the Mizels. I remember when Tim saw it at our country house, he was on the edge of the couch. And he rarely, this is a movie that if you see it the first time, you might stop and then go back. Tim was glued, and it was straight through, and it became one of your favorites.
Well, the thing I thought was most interesting about it is you and myself, probably Matt, there's a few other people that had we lived in that neighborhood, we would have been Jerry, right? We would have been over there visiting them, seeing what was going on. Don't you think?
We would have been Jerry. Yes, we would have been Jerry. Yeah,
we would have been over there to see what's going on. Just like you had Frankie across the street.
Yeah,
right? You had, probably everybody else ignored him, but it was comedy gold.
Oh,
not in a bad way, but just he was salt of the earth and had his own point of view on life. I remember you taking me over there one time at Christmas time. I mean, it was like going into an old, dime store
plastic
thrift
covered
shop.
Furniture.
Box wine,
wine,
Cheetos in a bowl, box wine on the counter.
Let me go into the kitchen, get yourself a glass of wine out of the box on the counter. And this is before box wine was popular. We were mortified, oh my God.
When he brought out the little bowl of Cheetos, that was my favorite. I'm thinking, we need the whole bag. Don't tempt me with a couple of Cheetos.
Yeah, we should. One of these days we're going to do a Frankie show. Frankie and some of our other personalities. You might not recognize it as the focus group, but you certainly know it's Tim and John. All right, without further ado, Mr. Bennett, what caught your eye this week?
What caught your eye? Here's what Tim and John found.
This is a simple one, and it came from one of our favorite sites, Jalopnik. And the headline is trash bag filled with 363. So it's specific. Trash bag filled with 363 Hot Wheels cars found on the side of the road. So this happened out in Tacoma, Washington. And the police got a phone call that there was a suspicious black bag. So some caller had pulled over the side of the road and saw a suspicious black bag. And they thought, of course, it might have been a bomb or some sort of other thing in this black trash bag. And so the police came out and they looked at it, and lo and behold, they found, still wrapped in all their original packaging, all of these Hot Wheels cars. And they said, obviously it wasn't trash, but they couldn't figure out, was it a kid's collection? Was it somebody that lost it that was going to a swap meet or a flea market or something? Because they were still all, perfectly packaged. And they said if they were kids, right. And if they were kids, they said they probably would have been opened because we would all play with that sort of thing. So they said it was likely that they could have belonged to a collector, but they really thought maybe a reseller. And so they put something on their webpage. Now, what I think, or their Facebook page, what I think is funny about this is this really is just a throwaway story, but it's hit the national news. And that's what I think is even funnier about it. So the Tacoma police put this out and says, we found this collection of Hot Wheels cars. They're in safekeeping at the Tacoma police headquarters. If they're missing, please come identify them and you'll be able to get them. So they were concerned that somebody might just say, oh, they're mine, and come get them. So they said that there were some very specific, highly collectible cars interspersed between the collection. So somebody did a little work. So they want you to be able to identify one or two of what would have been the special cars that were in this collection of 363 Hot Wheels cars. But as of yet, nobody's come to collect them. They said that it was a full range of product, mostly late model cars, but there were a couple of what they said were collector's items. So you have to identify what those would be, which I guess you could just say that and make a guess. But I just thought it was such a throwaway story. But because it's Jalopnik, which is an auto blog, of course, this made it there. But I looked, it showed up on Yahoo, it showed up on CNN. So
if you're watching on YouTube, if you're watching our video, the video portion of our show on YouTube, Tim provided two images. One is the actual, I think, police station photo of the bag dumped out, and it's just a ton of these Hot Wheels in their cardboard back with the plastic, bubble for the car. And then next to it, he put a picture of what the Hot Wheels normally look like on a toy store shelf. So this is such a mystery that, and are they basically thinking that someone just stole these?
Well, they thought somebody stole them, or they just can't figure it out because they thought would you drive and throw them out of the car?
No. Yeah.
Would they be in back of a pickup and you were going to a flea market and they blew out? Probably not. They're too heavy. So they can't figure out how they ended up on the side of the road there. And so it's a mystery.
In a black bag.
Yeah, in a black bag, all perfectly in shape. So, I can't. I mean, if you pulled over, say you had a flat tire, you pulled over, you had to empty the car out. Again, you're not just going to leave them.
No.
I couldn't, unless somebody stole them and was walking and then they got too heavy and just decided to leave them. I don't know.
They're Matchbox. They can't get that heavy, right? I mean,
yeah, I don't know.
Good story.
So, yeah,
mine could not be further from this. And when you see when you hear the headline, you'll know why I clipped it. Missing hotel owner found inside crocodile. A South African hotelier is believed to have been eaten by a 15-foot crocodile after human remains were found inside the swollen reptile. The animal was shot from a helicopter and airlifted from the crocodile-infested Komati River in a daring police operation before a post-mortem examination was carried out. So they shot what they suspected was this alligator was laying on laying on a rock doing nothing, but it looked really like it was satisfied. It was full. So they they shot it, they airlifted it. They did this post-mortem at a facility, and it said a ring was found inside the belly of the 500-kilogram, I don't know how many pounds that is, apex predator, and is thought to belong to Gabriel Batista, 59. And here's what they think happened. The businessman was swept away in floodwaters while trying to drive across the Komati River in the northeast of the country a week ago. And this is South Africa. Investigators will carry out DNA tests on the bones and flesh found inside the crocodile. So what happened is that they believe Batista's four-wheel drive was attempting to ford the river. Is that the right way we say it? Ford the river? Yeah. And it was it was swept away. He was swept away. What they don't know, and they're not sure they'll be able to figure this out, is was he alive when the crocodile ate him, or was he dead? So they said, was he eaten alive or was he deceased? I just think either one is horrible.
This is why I don't like these places where I would never want to live in the South where there's gators. Would you?
Oh, no.
Or crocodiles.
And, they're fast, too. You've seen videos of them coming up onto a golf course or something, or trying to take a person's dog away. It's crazy,
If they
right?
chase you, you're supposed to run in a zigzag because
Really?
they can't zigzag really quick. Yeah. You don't run in a straight line because they can go fast straight. They can't zigzag. So
How'd you know
zigzag. I'm smart. Because I'm petrified of these gators. Did I tell you the time I was golfing in Mexico and a gator came up, Bill Cyphers and I thought it was going to kill us. It really was within seconds. We both yelled and screamed and took off. This thing pops up out of the water. Our golf ball was right near the edge of this
Oh my God.
big water thing. To this day, I'm still traumatized of it. Pops up, the ice came up, and I thought within seconds I could have grabbed one of us, and I certainly wouldn't be doing this. So I
zigzag.
And then I went to South Carolina, and I had no idea they had gators in South Carolina.
Yeah.
I was down in Hilton Head and looked out, and there were gators. I don't want to live in a place that has gators. I don't want to live in Georgia. I don't want to live in Mississippi or Alabama or Florida or Louisiana. Now, Texas, I don't think has them, do they?
Yeah, I don't know about that. That's a good one. And gators go all the way back to the dinosaur age, right? They've hung on. This article ended by saying the species is responsible for 700 confirmed human deaths per year, although the true number may be higher because many attacks happen in remote areas and are not reported to the authorities. So,
is this for crocodiles in South Africa?
Yeah. This is the South African variety. And they said that the one crocodile, the Nile crocodile, grows to over 20 feet long and is one of the top apex predators. You've seen nature shows where they throw like a cooked chicken into some, and the gators go crazy. You're like, whoa, boy.
The other one that goes after the gators are the hippos, or the crocodiles,
hippos, right.
Or the hippos. Hippos will take care of the crocs.
Tim enjoys nature shows.
I do.
Unless it's about monkeys and monkeys, because they can be really nasty, right?
No, monkeys monkeys could take over the world. You got to watch that.
Was that the Chimp Kingdom
Chimp
series?
Empire. You got to watch that. It's only 3 episodes. First one's delightful. Second one, there starts to be a little tension. In the third one, you'll never trust a monkey again. And
you'll recommend the series as Tim is doing, but you might not watch it again. And he's absolutely right about the sequencing here. It's like, oh, I could have a chimp as a pet.
Well, they prefer to rip so if they meet another group of monkeys or tribe or family, whatever they call it, they prefer to rip them apart and eat them alive. And because everybody's like, oh, they're hurt. They don't eat meat. No, they like meat. And they want to kill it and eat it alive.
I remember when, Tim, you watched this about a year ago. I remember when we were on the phone doing some business stuff, and you're like, by the way, you need to watch this series, and you're gonna think about chimps completely different after this.
Well, they have a long memory. They have a very, very distinct pecking order within their family group, and the men go out on the hunt, and they will go after, if you did them wrong 30 years ago, they remember. And if they catch you, you're dead.
Our ancestors. It's true.
We're not far off.
Not far off, no. If I may not get you today, I may not get you tomorrow, but I'm going to get you.
I'm going to get you. I'll get you.
All right. As you know, if you're a longtime listener here on the Focus Group, we have a signature segment called the Business Birthday.
Everyone does celebrity birthday greetings, but the Focus Group is the only show in the universe that celebrates business birthdays.
So born this week, May 15th, 1863, Frank Hornby. And he died at 73 in 1936. He was an English inventor, businessman, and politician. And he was what they called a visionary in toy development and manufacturing. And although he had no formal engineering training, he was responsible for the invention and production of 3 of the most popular lines of toys based on engineering principles in the 20th century. So the Hornby model railway trains, the Dinky Toys and Meccano, which was like an erector set, which we would call it. But he was based in the UK. He became the largest toy maker in the UK and made millions of dollars very early on in the 20s and 30s. So he's quite successful. So his inventions, he had worked as a bookkeeper, and he didn't like school, skipped school a lot, never had a real formalized education. Got a job as a bookkeeper in I think it was 1887, and I had 2 small children, and so he would tinker in his back shed, and he made toys for his kids. And one of them he did. He took sheets of copper and metal, and cut them into pieces, and then was able to make toys out of them for his kids with nuts and bolts. He even made his own nuts and bolts, but realized that he should do something different and find ones already made. So, but he worked as a bookkeeper for this meat importing business in Liverpool, but would, as I said, tinker, and he built bridges and trucks and cranes and all these things, and then realized that if he made the pieces interchangeable, it could be a great idea and a marketing concept for toys and whatever. So his boss that he worked with, a guy named David Elliott, encouraged him and said, listen, you should try to sell this or market this as toys. And he didn't have the £5 needed, so $5, so about $10. He didn't have the £5 at the time to put forth an idea and a patent. So he wanted to get a patent for this invention. This was in 1901. So he did. His employer, David Elliott, loaned him the £5. And he created what was improvements in toy or educational devices for children and young people. And that was the patent for this Meccano game. Excuse me. So sure enough, it had taken off. And so in his spare time, he and his wife and his boss, Dave Elliott, would make these parts and toys in the evenings. And it got too big. It became too popular. So in 1903,
not a bad problem.
No, he had sold 1,500 sets, and then thousands, and opened up distribution in France and Germany and other places around the world. And it became to the point where they needed to get a factory and have somebody actually make the parts for them. They couldn't keep up with it. So David Elliott, who loaned him the £5, who he was the bookkeeper for, decided not to join this new company. He started Meccano Limited, and they went and found a factory. This was in 1910, and set up a factory for £12,000, which would be about $24,000, right, or a little more, and had made this success for over 60 years. Then developed the Dinky Toys, which are similar to matchboxes. So We've got a theme here this week, which are die-cast miniature model cars and trucks, first introduced under his name in 1931. Also the model railway system, the Hornby trains, and aside from this Meccano, like erector set. The company was sold in 1961, but it's still in business. He died in 1936, as I said, of a heart disease and complications from diabetes. But the train company, Hornby Trains, still exists in the UK, and the company still generates about $100 million a year.
Wow.
So he had quite a legacy, but very well known in the UK, of course. They said Google even celebrated the 150th anniversary of his birthday with a Google Doodle. He was also inducted into the many museums and toy Hall of Fames in the UK as well as in the US. So I remember Dinky Toys. I don't remember the train. And we had erector sets, I don't think. Did you have a Meccano set?
No, we had Gilbert erector sets, yeah.
Yeah. So that was our...
and then did you have girders and panels?
Oh, the plastic ones? Yeah. Those were made in Ben Salem, PA or something outside of Philly, I think. Jeez. And the company... Did I tell you the company went up for sale a few years ago?
No.
For not a lot of money. I want to say like $30,000.
The people that made girders and panels.
The girders and panels. And it was just defunct, and they had the molds or whatever, but somebody actually did pick it up and starting to reinvent it or reimagine it. But I thought it would have been a perfect thing. Once again, something we missed. It would have been perfect for you and I to have. There's a number of defunct. There's a site you can go to with all these defunct names or availability of toys. There was another
trademark
one
names and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, there was another one I thought would have been funny. Might have been that Whammo thing. What was the thing with the wheel? The wheel went around on the metal thing. What was that called? Was it a wheelio? What was that thing called?
Not the big wheel. You're talking.
No. You held it in your hand. You went back and forth, and it had a little red magnet wheel and back and forth, back and forth.
Oh, and it would ride up the track.
Yeah.
It would go up and then curve around, and it was magnetic.
Yeah, and you got it really fast.
I forget the name of that. We had one of those. I forget the name.
Wasn't it a wheelio, maybe? Wheelio?
It might be a wheelio. I'll have to look that up. I know that the girders and panels thing, there is some company that now sells those sets again.
Yeah, they bought it. They bought the rights
and they're doing it under this whole. They bought a whole bunch of retro toys, and they're selling them. So I would almost feel like getting a kit. Although, you had this as a kid, right?
Yeah, and they were, they used to cut you at the sharpness. I think I remember it being.
Oh,
there was no issues then about if you got cut. Well, you should have been careful. Now you'd be sued, right? Yeah,
I'm looking at Amazon now, and they
it was a gyro wheel. They're calling it
the gyro wheel.
Wheelo was the original magnetic spin. $50 on eBay. You can get it though at a gyro wheel at Target, which is similar, but the original one was called a Wheelo. WHEE -LO. Wheelo. Yeah.
Crazy. I loved that toy when I was a kid, by the way.
I did too. You try to get it go really fast, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth.
And we could take it in the car and stuff. And it was hours of entertainment for basically a wire with a wheel that ran up and down and around. Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of like that bird that used to go down and get the water and up. Remember the bird that would rock?
Yeah. It was a hydro. I forget how that worked, but the
sun
beat was
hit it
felt or something. And it would yeah. Oh boy.
You know what I watched yesterday, which I'm upset with? I think you and I might have talked about this. We have one of these new washers. You could spit on the clothes and get them wetter than these new washers with the water. I don't think they use enough water to wash.
Really?
I don't. Do you? Do you have a new washer?
No. The one upstate in our house, we got with the house, which means it's at least 25 or 30 years old.
Yeah, so you have a good one. The tank has to, to me, the barrel has to fill with water and your clothes are moving all over around. These new things, it's like they throw a thimble full of water in the soap. I don't think the stuff rinses. I don't think it gets clean. I was yelling and screaming to Richard about it, and he just shook his head. He says, I'm sure these have all been tested. I said, no, I'm with Trump on this. We use the water. I want these clothes swimming in the water.
Tim, I need to load that Andy Griffith song so that when you get on the soapbox about what's going on, I need to hit that button like Matt used to do in the studio.
Yeah, that was one of Matt's. I give Matt credit for that. That was good.
He nailed it.
Yeah. So that was our business birthday. We're going to take a quick break. As John mentioned earlier, we have a shop talk about Social Security. So stay with us. We'll be right back.
You're listening to The Focus Group with Tim and John. Learn more at focusgroupradio.com. They're all business, except when they're not. It's The Focus Group with Tim Bennett and John Nash.
Welcome back to the Focus Group. John Nash with Tim Bennett, and the website is focusgroupradio.com. You'll learn about us there, including our Tuesday podcast TFGM button, which of course drops into your audio feed of choice if you are audio only listener. But if you happen to be watching on YouTube, welcome to the video. Before we came back to break, we were just cracking each other up because that toy thing took us down to the level of where we grew up and the people we knew. And we were just laughing about something. And Tim just sent, before I brought us back, Tim goes, we're the only two that laugh at this stuff. No, there are others who know the fine art of what we're up to. So I teased at the beginning of the show an article that I came across. I think it was Business Insider. I could double check here. Let me hide the reader. It was Yahoo Finance, actually. And it's something that pops up periodically because it's often in the news. And the headline here is, will Social Security really go broke in 2035? Here's exactly what's happening. And to sum it up as best as I could, I'll say this. They would say to you here, Social Security may be depleted, but not broke. So by 2035, it's not going to be broke. But if they don't make some changes and adjustments, everybody receiving benefits across the board is going to have to deal with either a reduction in benefits or changes to the program. Every time I bring this up with somebody like a financial advisor, they just laugh and shake their head and they say, it's America's third rail. It's never going to happen. They're going to fix it. And yet I look at the dysfunction in Washington and I'm wondering, really? Is anybody really looking out for all of us? Or is 2035 just too far away? I guess the war will be over by then in Iran, but so what did you think of the article? And what did you think? The fixes seemed simple to me. In fact, I'll say this, we'll talk about the article a bit, but then I would like to know what your fix would be based on what you read. And I wonder if it's the same fix mine would be.
Well, there were two things. So they said there's a Social Security trust fund, which is if they happen to collect more money than what they need to give out in benefits, that they will invest it in treasuries to pay for future benefits. So I thought, well, that's good. The one thing I thought you and I have encountered is self-employed individuals pay the full 12.4% of Social Security taxes. So once again, if you're self-employed, you get screwed. Because if you work for somebody, it's 6.2% and employers pay. Right. So I don't know why, once again, if you're self-employed, you seem to get the short end of the
point.
stick.
You nailed the first one. Yeah, that's crazy.
The one thing I didn't, you're right. I think the government needs to, or Congress needs to step in and fix this. But here's what I don't understand. And so I looked this up. I thought to myself, when Social Security started, the country had a far less population. And there's more people paying in now than ever before. But they're saying that there's not enough people paying in to cover those that are accepting benefits, which is why there's a shortfall. So I went and looked it up. Do you know when Social Security started? I had no idea. I thought it was the 50s or 60s, but I was way off.
Well, it had to be under FDR. So was it the mid 30s? 35?
So you're
36?
right. You're exactly right. So Social Security started in 1935.
Okay.
And at the time, the U.S. population was 127 million people.
A third of what it is today, right?
So our current population is 340 million. So how is there not enough money being paid in? Because I'm thinking, how could there not be enough money if this population is increased by over 200 million people? Mm-hmm. And if 3/4 of them work, or even half of them work, it's far more people than the 127 million people from when this started. Yeah. So if there's more people paying in, I just don't understand how the money is being managed or not managed. But they keep talking about how, well, there's they want to either increase taxes or that there's fewer people paying in and more people taking benefits. I understand there was a baby boom, but all those people paid in.
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm being stupid. I'm not an economist.
No.
So.
Social Security started as a very straightforward program, and then it began to change and morph and expand. And now you have people who, there's Social Security disability, right? Which I don't know that was originally part of the program. It makes sense if you can't work or you've been injured and you've been paying in for a while, you get money. The thing that strikes me as the most peculiar is, again, this fact that it just seems to be talked about but ignored all the time. And then this article, as Tim just said earlier, they clarified the Social Security Trust Fund. That's just extra money that gets put in. Apparently, though, Congress manipulates the trust fund sometimes. Mm-hmm. It borrows from the trust and then has to
it's
put
probably
back.
going to be used for a ballroom next.
Which was going to be paid for by all private donations. But now they need $1 billion for, I guess, bulletproof glass. It's crazy. And then you hit on this other thing that I knew you and I have always known we paid the 12.4% as sole, owners of a business. And then, there's this thing called the Social Security cap. So let's say you make $250,000 a year, which would be great. No matter how high your income goes, you get capped at a certain point. When you hit a certain thing of income, you stop paying Social Security taxes. I don't know why that got instituted, but maybe the cap should be a little higher for higher salaries, and we wouldn't be having this problem, right?
Yeah, no, that would be the smart thing. And my guess is, though, whatever happens, we'll be fine because we're close to the age. But they might say if you were born after 1995 or whatever, that you're only going to get X percent or something. But there's no way that we would hope, there's no way that the government won't make this whole again. Although with the way the government's been operating the last 5-10 years, what would surprise anybody, right? Nothing seems to be normal.
I don't know why more alarm bells aren't ringing today when I noticed a couple of economists have pointed out that the national debt has finally crept higher than our gross domestic product, the GDP. So it's happened only once or twice, I think. And usually bad things happen. So I don't know. And then I watched the stock market, the valuations. I don't know when people are going to feel the shock of the fact that the Strait of Hormuz has been closed, effectively sealing off a huge amount of traffic, mercantile traffic, and of course oil. And we might not be feeling it quite as badly as we could, but are you at $5 a gallon yet? Or are you close there?
No, it was $4.40, $4.69, $4.49, somewhere around there. And I was actually thinking when I drove, I was going to stop off at Costco and get gas, but I did not. But it's crazy. I went to the grocery store, and when I was checking out, I got a half a bag of stuff for like $45, and I was just shaking my head. And the woman goes, "Oh, have you been to the gas station lately?"
Yeah.
And I said, and she was saying how her car, just her little car, was over $50-some to fill. Yeah. And I said, I'm wondering when people are finally going to have enough. And she just shook her head. But if you're somebody who relies, you drive a pickup truck and you're a handy
diesel
man person or a union worker or something like my brother, you fill up your truck because you need it for work, and it's $70-$80 a week.
And that's regular. If he had a diesel truck, that's a whole nother ballgame.
And
there.
So half of your income could be going to keeping your truck running or something. So I don't know. It's by the way, you listen to these yahoos you see it on social media that continued to vote for what they thought was going to be the great savior, and still don't blame him for any of this. Nope. It was Biden's fault.
They're still
Obama's fault, Biden's fault. Yeah,
they're still invoking Joe Biden a year and a half into his second term, Trump's term, and this does relate to Social Security, by the way. I know we might have gone off the trail here a little bit, but if you're on a fixed income and part of that fixed income includes your Social Security benefit, you have no control over the fact that you're not making more money, but you are spending more money. And that's why I think this whole thing is crazy, that if they get to 2035 and they have to cut benefits, it's going to have a real ripple down effect on a lot of things, right? Like I was talking to a friend of mine the other day. We were talking about house expenses. I had to have a well pump replaced. And that, and things happen. A dishwasher goes, refrigerator goes, and then, these appliances aren't really made the way they used to be made. But I said, hey, maybe you need a new roof. And we were on a Zoom call. He says, oh, how'd you know? I said, what do you mean? He goes, we just had the roof done. And I said, was it like 20? No, it was $30K. $30K. I mean, I know it lasts for 25 years or something, but if you're 72, you're on your retirement plan, maybe there's a lot of people we know who live strictly on Social Security. How do you afford a $30,000 roof replacement, right? It's crazy.
Did I tell you I was going to get a new roof, and I wanted a metal roof?
How much was that?
Well, So the guy from the
I love a
roofing
metal
company,
roof, by the way.
Oh, I do too. And the guy from the metal roofing company comes. I was like, I would love to do this metal roof and blah 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 blah. He's like, And he's looking. He goes, so how? He goes, so you're putting it on for the next owner? I said, what?
Yeah.
He goes, you're putting it on for the next owner. He goes, it'll last for a long time. He said, but you're going to spend 3 times as more as what he would put on for one that will last 30 years in asphalt. So I thought, okay, you're right. Why would I spend $50,000 for this roof when I could spend 20 and it's going to last 30 years and let somebody else worry about it then? But he says, how long do you plan on living? I'm like, do I look that old? So you're putting a new roof on for the next owner.
Mm-hmm.
I thought, well.
Don't you appreciate when people do that, though?
Yeah, no, I was glad he did it because I'm thinking, and I was being, I want a metal roof and it's hot, it looks great and blah, blah, blah. And they do. They look great.
What color would you have gone with?
I don't know. I might have done a brick red or something. I don't know.
I was going to guess like a brick red would look great on your house, by the way.
Lighter color, but then I found some woman down here. Of course, she was full of shit, but she's, I got the Amish will come down from Lancaster County, put it on for $4,000. I said, can you give me their number? Yeah, she told me the Amish will come do it in a day, $4,000 metal roof. I said, really? I said, because I can put them to work and I'll charge $15,000. They'll be way ahead of the game.
Yeah.
Of course, she never produced the number after she was like, you should have gotten a metal roof. The Amish will come down and do it. Really? Do you have their number? That's what I said to her. No number arrived.
So back to Social Security for a minute. When you talk to your advisor, they factor it into your life plan, right?
Yeah.
But have you ever been told by the advisor sometimes like, well, we factored in, but I don't know if you should count on it. Sometimes they say you should count on it, sometimes not. Have you ever heard that line?
Well, they want you to think that
it might not be there.
Yeah, because they want you to invest in what they have, right? So you don't want to rely on it. But I would say half of my friends have taken it as soon as they could at 62. And because they still feel that I think the break-even point, you and I did the math one time, is somewhere around
81.
80. Yeah. That you might as well enjoy the money now. Even if you don't necessarily need it, you can enjoy it or invest it and make more money than you would than if you held out until 67 or 70 or whatever the number is you want to pick. I just had this conversation with a mutual friend of ours and tried to explain it to him. But the difficult part for anybody is you cannot live on Social Security alone. I don't know how people do it. It's very, very tough because what is it? It could be anywhere from $1,500 to $2,500
or to $3,000 at the
$3,000.
Higher level.
But you're not going to be able to live on that a month. I don't think, unless you downsize or down.
Even then, Tim, if your house is paid off, you still have property taxes, you still have utilities, you still have upkeep, and you have weekly groceries and your normal bills. Taking it at 62, there's a lot of social media, like Instagram. It pops up people talking to the camera about, and there used to be financial planners. It does seem that there's a preponderance of evidence to suggest that the earlier is the smarter route, especially since women can live into their 90s. I think men, it's 78 to 82. That seems to be the range, right?
Yeah. And most women will then, if they were married and spouse, they could collect their husbands.
The higher benefit.
You get the higher benefit, yeah. But I don't know. I just think you'll spend money differently in your 80s than you would in your 60s.
I agree.
And but it also, though, if you're working and you don't need to, then that's another decision to make. But who knows? I mean, we have friends. We have a friend who, well, there's 2 people I know recently that died unexpectedly and had not started taking it. And one of them neither of them knew they were going to die, of course, but their spouses both said, and they never even collected Social Security. So I don't know. I think, I think it's, if you can, I think you should collect it, but that's just my opinion. Someone else could have another opinion.
Or you can play the game of going to Social Security Administration's website and they have a chart and you could plug in what age you think you want to take it at. And if you even if you wait from 62 to like 64, the number goes up.
Because up 8% a year about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you had saving, like that's a whole other thing. But to answer the questions here in this article, no, Social Security is not going bust in 2035. But if nothing is done, then the government needs to recalibrate what is happening with the trust and with monies that are collected from those that are working. And we're soon reaching a point in our society where there's going to be more retirees than younger workers. And there's a whole other argument to be made for why this whole immigration crackdown is bad. Why are you laughing?
No, it's what you said. I think last week you mentioned it on the show about AI. AI was going to do,
abundance.
What's the Tesla guy? Yeah, don't even have to work.
Don't save for retirement because it's going to be an unending abundance from AI. I don't know how that works, but
right, because where's that money coming from?
I guess AI is making it, right? It's printing the money.
Yeah.
But I think that if Congress just simply raised the cap on high earners, and we're not talking by a lot, I mean, we're talking small percentage, it would really correct things. But
isn't that what the new mayor, Mondami, is that how you say it, wants to do in New York City?
A wealth
everybody's
tax,
all tuned up for the billionaires, right?
Well, and then there's this, there was a tax floated on, there's a lot of apartments in Manhattan that are like super expensive, high end, and these really tall buildings owned by either foreign money or people that don't even live in them. And they wanted to do like I guess they call it a mansion tax or like a luxury tax or something. Of course, the moneyed class went crazy. Like, how dare you do this? But they're sitting empty. Yeah. They could afford an extra couple thousand a year, right?
Well, wasn't that Trump Tower down in was on the lower
down in Soho? Notorious
full
for
of Russian money,
ownership.
Said. Yep. Yeah, and they're all empty. I remember. Yeah, it's just a place to park some money.
Mm-hmm.
But he's clean. He's clean.
You park it, and then you sell the apartment 2 years later, and now the money's clean. Yeah. Mm. The problems of the wealthy and the super wealthy and the people who got their money by not such ordinary means. But that's for another show.
Yeah. So, hey, thanks for joining us here on the Focus Group. We appreciate your time with us. Be sure to also catch the replay of our video cast on Saturdays, which is released as we used to be live on Saturdays back in the day. So be sure if you get a chance to follow along with us, like us, tell your friends about us, leave us a good review. Don't leave a bad review. Leave us a good review. And we appreciate the time you spent with us.
Jerry likes the way I do my corn. Isn't he a treasure? More corn, Jerry.
If we need a musical writer, so we need to. Yes, so I'll send letters at focusgroupradio.com. Don't text and drive, arrive alive. We hope everyone has a great week, and we'll see you next time here on the Focus Group. Take care.
It's the Focus Group with Tim Bennett and John Nash. Accessible on all platforms. Subscribe, like, and rate us on your platform of choice. Learn more at focusgroupradio.com.